Good day, class. Welcome to the online course of Tower Running 101. I am your professor, Professor Climate to Toppets. I will be facilitating this course for the next 7 weeks. I expect you to be on time to your online class. This is a live class. I can see you, and no texting. I can see you texting. Excuse me, coffee. Need more coffee. Before we start into our work today, we've only got 5 hours, actually 4 hours and 58 minutes left. We must move quickly. We must move quickly. I will give you your assignments for your next class. First, you must read The Philosophy of Tower Running, chapters 1 through 5 by Jay Langhorse. Make sure you read that carefully. It's a very good book. Followed by that, you will read Shoes They Must Fit by yours truly. I find it's one of my favorite books. Make sure you read chapters 1 through 17 and be prepared for a pop quiz at your next class. Followed by that, you need to read chapter 2 of the Willis, aka Sears Tower, in which you have all the complete measurements down in English and metric 2. And then you need to read chapters 1 through 7 of the famous tower runner Thomas Coleman, aka Tommy Coleman, his book titled Go Ahead, Make My Day. Don't wish me a happy birthday. The good thing about Thomas is he's a straight shooter. And by the way, Thomas, if I missed your birthday last February, happy birthday, Thomas. Now, we will get into our coursework. We've only got 4 hours and 56 minutes left, so we must move quickly. Excuse me, more coffee. Open up your 10,000-page complete stair climb racing's rulebook. We will start with chapter 2, paragraph 4, section 5, verse 9. Efficacy in the stairwell. This is very, very important. Listen carefully. There shall be no spitting, no burping, and especially no farting in the stairwell. Chewing tobacco is strictly prohibited and could be a state fine in the state of California. Next, we will follow up with the rules for passing. Passing is very important. The elite climbers will climb first, unless the elite climber is climbing second after the first elite climber, or the third elite climber will be climbing after the second elite climber. But yes, elite climbers climb first in general, followed by the general climbers classifications, which could be corporate or other team sections. But elite climbers will climb first. If you are passing, you will pass on the inside. If you're being passed, you pass on you let go and let them pass on the outside. You let them pass on the outside. No, wait, you can't go outside because you would fall off the building and die. That would be stupid. You move to the outside railing and let the faster climber pass on the inside. Do you understand? Never ever stay on the inside when you're being passed on the outside. If you're on the outside railing and trying to climb, you will fall and die. No texting. I can see you texting. Stop that. I can see it. Excuse me, more coffee.
Whoa, sorry about that, folks. Apparently the professor, he mistaked our espresso bar for a coffee bar, and the poor guy is just a little too wound up. Give us a moment to get back to our main studio, and we'll get back with you. For those who are trying to find out what tower running, also known as competitive stair climbing, is all about, we'll give you the lowdown on that in the simple terms that you can understand of one of the coolest extreme sports that hopefully you'll become a part of. We'll be right back. Hey, we're back. We got the professor taken care of. We're back in the Climb 1 studios. The professor's spring was running just a little too tight, so we put him on an exercise device called the Jacob's Ladder, and that's going to unwind his spring and get him back to his normal self, whatever that may be. So here we are today. This show is for those of you who are interested in tower running but really don't know what it is. Now, tower running is also called competitive stair climb racing. Those are interchangeable, so if you hear me say one or the other, it's the same thing. The sport came around about in the 1970s when some athletes who were trying to stay in shape during the winter time found that climbing stairs was really great at doing that, and then they kind of started racing each other, and then all of a sudden events formed out of that to what we have today with races worldwide. We have almost 200 races around the world, and luckily in the United States we are blessed with a lot of races. Now, our races in the United States are just about all charity-based races, but they handle the logistics, and we get to help ourselves by getting into great shape and meeting new people who are really cool, and at the same time we get to help somebody else in need. So let me clear up a couple misconceptions of what you might think stair climbing is. Stair climbing, tower running is not this. But many people, when I talk to them about tower running, think that's what we do. That sport would probably not last very long, because if you got tired and were going to drop out of the race, you literally would drop out of the race permanently. We, on the other hand, race up the stairwells of the tallest skyscrapers and buildings around the world. Now, The next thing that there's this big misconception when I talk to people about the sport is they think, how do you get all those people into a doorway of a stairwell at one time? Well, we don't. That would be called a stampede, and that would be bad. So here is the definition that I came up with for tower running races. So here it is. It is a timed race. We use a timing chip just like you would in a running race. If you've done a 5K or half marathon or marathon, you usually have a timing chip on your shoe or your wrist or in a bib. In tower running, most all the races are done in a time trial format. What time trial is they start you one at a time, and they'll give a length of 5 to 10 to 30 seconds in between climbers to give them some space to climb. So it's one person at a time. You're basically running against the clock, and it's up the stairwells of the tallest buildings in the world. Now there's some variations on different types of races and some other things that we can talk about, but generally on a tall building, take for instance the Willis, aka Sears Tower in Chicago, which is held every November. It's 103 stories. There's about 3,000 climbers at the event, and you start at the bottom on the ground and you race up to the 103rd floor. So it's a single building race. There are some races that are multiple building races. There are some buildings that have multiple races. They may have a shorter building where they do a sprint race up for the first race, and the second race, which is really cool, is you do what they call a power hour or a Towerthon type race, where you might race up the building and you run to the elevator down, run back up the stairwell for an hour or 2 hours. There's even a couple races that have 5 and 6 hours of climbing. That's a lot of climbing. So the next thing we're going to answer is, who does tower racing? Well, everybody can do tower racing, from kids, some events have certain age restrictions, to people in their 70s or 80s. And the great thing about tower running, for you folks that are a little bit older than some other people, is you can be very competitive at an older age. And I have to tell you, it's pretty fun to beat somebody who's younger than you. So we have competitive racers that race from 14 to in their 70s, and they're very good and very fast. And then what you have, we call those the elite climbers. They're at the top of their field. And then you have competitive climbers who are racing as fast and as hard as they can. Their times might not be that as fast, but they're still doing as best they can to improve their time, and they train hard for it, and they do an awesome job. Then you have folks who are involved with the charities. There may be corporate teams or teams to support somebody in an event who is going through some kind of disease or affliction. And there may be more casual climbers, so they're not climbing as fast as they can, but they're doing it for a cause, and they're doing it and they're getting in great shape. So that's who can do it. Now, I know a lot of people, when I tell them about stair racing, I hear every excuse in the book why they can't do it. And we become a society of we just don't push ourselves to the limits. We're going to explore that in another video. But I want to tell you, I'm going to put a link in the show notes on the YouTube channel to a YouTube recording of the Skyrise Chicago with interviews of people who went through the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago. They sponsor that race, and they have gone through some serious traumatic injuries, and they climbed 103 stories. So if you think you can't, why don't you change that mindset and start thinking, if somebody like that that's gone through that injury can do that, I can do it too. And you can get it back into great shape if you have kind of put on a few pounds, maybe not feeling like you should. I'm telling you, if you start taking control of your life, you're going to feel a lot better physically and mentally. And the best part about tower racing is the community. It's the most supportive people, not just in the U.S., anywhere in the world. Everybody is extremely supportive. It's just one of the most awesome events, awesome community that I have ever found in my entire life. So if you want to get involved with a race, then you can go to Towerrunning.com. Now that is the Tower Running World Association. They are the international association. They're out of Europe, a great group of folks who promote it internationally, and their goal is to kind of make tower running a professional sport, bring it to the Olympics. But they have on their main page, they have where you can click on races, and you can usually find races up to about a month or two ahead. Also on the United States site, you have towerrunningusa.com, and they have a calendar page. A calendar will probably be updated about the first of every year. And the two big players in the U.S. that you can look for races at, and I'll put in the show notes below, would be the American Lung Association. They have about 43 races a year. And the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, they also have about 25 races a year. And then you have a lot of independent organizations, like I said, in Chicago, a YMCA in LA, and just races all over the country. So look on the sites, find a race, and sign up for it. Don't wait to do something. Don't wait to try to get into shape. Sign up, and then you will get laser focused on actually starting to get into shape. And we'll go into more training, more details as we keep adding content. But now you know what tower running is, and the best thing about it is the people. You will hear that from everybody. The people in this sport, the connections that we make, the camaraderie that we have is awesome. In a world where everybody is staring at these, we don't do that. We really enjoy each other's company. So I urge you to sign up for a race, get started, and start some training. So, for my fellow stair climbers out there and for new stair climbers out there, one thing I always say at the end of a talk is have a great climb and fast times at your race, and we'll see you at the top. Thanks a lot.